October 2013, the San Francisco Public Library. A 29-year-old man walks in quietly and finds a table. If you didn't know him, you'd think he's just another tech worker from the Bay Area. He opens his laptop and logs onto his website. A couple near him then starts arguing, loudly. Afraid for the woman's safety, he turns to look. Before he can react, a man rushes towards him and takes his laptop, placing a device in it to keep it from shutting down. The man at the table is then placed in handcuffs and read his rights. FBI headquarters celebrates. It's taken years, but they've finally caught the mastermind behind the website. His name is Ross Ulbricht. They accuse Ross of operating the biggest marketplace on the dark web, Silk Road. On Silk Road, users could buy anything, including guns, drugs, and murders for hire, anonymously. What led to Ross Ulbricht becoming the FBI's most wanted cybercriminal? What is the story behind the Amazon of the dark web, Silk Road? Why did he start it? Who helped him build it? And how did he get caught? This is the story of the Silk Road, its creator, its rise, and its downfall. This is the story of the most illegal website in the world. How did Ross Ulbricht go from a newly graduated college student to the creator of the most infamous online marketplace in the world? Ross got a full scholarship to study physics at the University of Texas at Dallas and graduated in 2006. He then went on to Penn State for a master's in materials science. While studying, Ross dove deep into libertarian economic theory, supporting Ron Paul and debating agorism. What exactly is agorism, though? Agorism is a libertarian philosophy that promotes achieving a free society through voluntary, peaceful exchanges and creating alternative, unregulated markets, rather than through political action. It focuses on bypassing government control by engaging in counter-economic activities like barter and cryptocurrency. After graduating Penn State in 2009, Ross returned to Austin and tried his hand at day trading, starting a video game company, and even a used book reselling business, none of which worked out. By mid-2010, things weren't going well. His businesses were failing, and with it, his entrepreneurial dreams. He settled for a job editing scientific papers while figuring out his next move. One day, he realized something. He needed to find a way to create a marketplace. A marketplace where people could buy anything completely anonymously. Free from outside interference, he envisioned a place where the free market would decide the products to be sold, not the government or regulations. Ross's journal, mid-2010. Quote, I began working on a project that had been in my mind for over a year. I was calling it Underground Brokers, but eventually settled on Silk Road. The idea was to create a website where people could buy anything anonymously, with no trail whatsoever that could lead back to them. Ross knew in order to get this idea off the ground, he needed a product to sell. He turned to what he knew, psychedelic mushrooms. He quickly set up a grow area in a cabin off the grid, trying to get his products listed through the new site. Ross's journals, mid-2010. Quote, I finally decided that I would produce mushrooms so that I could list them on the site for cheap to get people interested. I worked my ass off, setting up a lab in a cabin out near Bastrop off the grid. In hindsight, this was a terrible idea and I would never repeat it, but I did it and produced several kilos of high-quality shrooms. At the same time, he struggled with the technical side of things. Setting up the website was difficult. By the end of 2010, he still hadn't gotten the site up and running. Ross was going through a hard time at this point. From his journal, late 2010. Quote, I'd mostly shut myself off from people because I felt ashamed of where my life was. I had left my promising career as a scientist to be an investment advisor, an entrepreneur, and came up empty-handed. More and more, my emotions and thoughts were ruling my life, and my word was losing power. Though Silk Road was still a work in progress, the dream was taking shape. Ross's journals, early 2011. Quote, in 2011, I'm creating a year of prosperity and power beyond what I've ever experienced before. Silk Road is going to become a phenomenon, and at least one person will tell me about it. unknowing that I was its creator. What were the keys to make Silk Road run, though? Two things. First, users needed a way to anonymize their IP addresses. Enter Tor, or the Onion Router. Tor is a privacy-focused network that enables anonymous communication by routing internet traffic through a series of encrypted relays, known as nodes, operated by volunteers worldwide. This obscures the user's IP address and location, making it difficult to trace their online activity. With the anonymity part solved, Ross needed something else. A way for users to pay for goods on Silk Road anonymously. Mailing cash or using credit cards was too risky and provided too many identifying details. Then, Ross discovered Bitcoin. It was just what he needed. Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency that allows peer-to-peer transactions without the need for a central authority like a bank. It was created in 2009 by an anonymous person or group under the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. Bitcoin offers a level of anonymity because transactions do not require personal information, only a digital wallet address. Transactions are recorded on a public blockchain, and they can be traced. This means while Bitcoin isn't fully anonymous, it's pseudonymous. Wallet addresses are not directly linked to identities, but with enough analysis, transactions can sometimes be tracked back to individuals. This was during the early years of Bitcoin's adoption, though. Tools that law enforcement would later use to associate wallet addresses with people weren't as developed yet. So, the thought was, it's anonymous. With these two pieces of the puzzle together, using Tor to obscure your IP address and location, as well as Bitcoin to pay anonymously, Ross was ready to launch the site. January 2011, the Silk Road website is launched. With the site created, Ross's next step was to start spreading the word, fast. The website silkroad420.wordpress.com is launched. The site advertises the Tor link to the Silk Road hidden service. From the website, quote, Silk Road is a Tor hidden service that allows you to buy and sell anonymously online using Bitcoins. To access the Silk Road site, you must use a Tor-enabled browser. January 27, 2011. An account called Altoid is created on shroomery.org, which begins advertising Silk Road. Altoid's message? Simple. Here's a place where you can buy and sell goods without fear of government interference. From Altoid's forum post. I came across this website called Silk Road. It's a Tor hidden service that claims to allow you to buy and sell anything online anonymously. I'm thinking of buying off it, but wanted to see if anyone here had heard of it and could recommend it. January 29, 2011. Ross creates another account called Altoid on the Bitcoin Talk forum, dedicated to the cryptocurrency. Here, he begins to advertise Silk Road, focusing on Bitcoin's role as the currency of the future for the dark web, untraceable and outside the control of banks or governments. Ross's Journals, 2011. Quote, still working on my other businesses in Silk Road at the same time. Programming now. Don't know how to host my own site. Don't know how to run Bitcoin D. Then I got the basics of my site written. Announced it on the Bitcoin Talk forums. Altoid's comments on January 30th, 2011. Quote, has anyone seen Silk Road yet? It's kind of like an anonymous Amazon.com. They basically use Bitcoin and Tor to broker anonymous transactions. Those not familiar with Tor can go to silkroad420.wordpress.com for instructions on how to access the site. Ross's attempts at marketing were working. Slowly. Users started signing up. Frantically, Ross tried to update and improve the technology that underpinned the site. Then, it happened. Ross's Journals, 2011. Quote, only a few days after launch, I got my first signups, then my first message. I was so excited I didn't know what to do with myself. Little by little, people signed up and vendors signed up, and then it happened. My first order. I'll never forget it. Ross's gamble had paid off so far. From Ross's Journals, 2011. The next couple of months, I sold about 10 pounds of shrooms through my site. Some orders were as small as a gram, and others were in the quarter-pound range. Before long, I completely sold out. Looking back on it, I maybe should have raised my prices more and stretched it out, But at least now I was all digital. No physical risk anymore. Before long, traffic started to build. People were taking notice. By March 1st, Silk Road is fully operational and gains an official presence on Bitcoin Talk with a new thread advertising the site and providing the updated TOR address. The marketplace is becoming known in the underground cryptocurrency community, but as the site grows, the intention of law enforcement is beginning to shift in its direction. June 2011. By June, the FBI and other law enforcement agencies are starting to notice something unusual. Contraband being sent through the Postal Service is at an all-time high. Packages are sent to fake companies, and fake return addresses are also common. At the Chicago Mail Branch, authorities are alarmed at the rising number of seized packages from the Silk Road. They started getting more resources together to investigate what was going on. Then, it happened. June 1st, 2011. The first major media article about Silk Road is published in Gawker. The explosive article is titled, "The Underground Website Where You Can Buy Any Drug Imaginable." Silk Road is starting to become more well known. From the Gawker article. Silk Road, a digital black market that sits just below most internet users' purview, does resemble something from a cyberpunk novel. Through a combination of anonymity technology and a sophisticated user feedback system, Silk Road makes buying and selling illegal substances as easy as buying used electronics. If the authorities wanted to ID Silk Road's users with computer forensics, they'd have nowhere to look. Tor masks a user's tracks on the site, and the only money good here is bitcoins. The article also notes, as Silk Road inevitably spills out of the Bitcoin bubble, its utopians will meet a harsh reality no anonymizing network can blur. For the time, though, Ross and Silk Road were flying high. Users were signing up in droves. He was making money hand over fist. Ross's journals, June 2011. Quote, Silk Road got its first press, the infamous Gawker article. When you look at the historical numbers, you can see right when it happened. A huge spike in signups, and the beginning of an upward trend in commerce that would continue until the time of this writing, and hopefully for much longer. As Silk Road's reach extended, not just law enforcement, but members of Congress also started to take notice. June 5th, 2011. Two U.S. Senators, Charles Schumer of New York and Joe Manchin of West Virginia, call for a government crackdown on Silk Road. They urge the Justice Department and DEA to investigate and shut down the site, warning that its existence poses a serious threat to public safety. Schumer was quoted as saying, "Never before has a website so brazenly peddled illegal drugs online. By cracking down on the website immediately, we can help stop these drugs from flooding our streets." Ross's journals, June 2011. Two U.S. senators came out against the site and against Bitcoin. I started to get in a bad state of mind. I was mentally taxed, and now I felt extremely vulnerable and scared. The U.S. government was aware of me and calling for my destruction. This is the biggest force-wielding organization on the planet. The authorities are starting to take notice. Silk Road, once confined to a small group of buyers and sellers, was starting to get on the radar of the US government and law enforcement agencies. What started as a way to test a new business model for Ross was quickly growing. The weight of his situation was bearing down, though. Would law enforcement start to infiltrate his website now? Had they already done so? With the money starting to roll in, Ross was in over his head. He needed help. He needed to hire a team to help him take Silk Road to the next level. The only problem with hiring a team, though, if they turned on Ross, the government's quest to send him to prison for life would get much easier. For now, his business was going well, and that was a risk he would have to take. How do you go about hiring people who, by their very job, know enough details to bring you down, though? With the government hot on his trail, what is their end goal? Getting someone inside the Silk Road to flip. It turns out the government would already be working on that. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, click the like button, hit the bell notification, all that fun stuff to get more videos like this in your YouTube feed. This is the first part in a multi-part series, and I hope you'll stick around because the story is awesome.